You know, Albert Einstein often receives credit for observing insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And conservatives might want to reflect on that aphorism, especially when discovering this new wrinkle in the increasingly distorted, nasty face of federal control over immigration. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and here's the absolutely crazy story. Joseph Simonson reports for the Washington Free Beacon, quote, "A senior official familiar with the plan told the Washington Free Beacon that the Department of Homeland Security wants to dispatch Customs and Border Protection agents to areas of Mexico that has seen large influxes of migrants. There, documents obtained by the Free Beacon show law enforcement would begin the screening process for migrants and expedite their final journey across the southern border." Such a program is virtually unprecedented and represents an escalation of what critics call the Biden administration's facilitation of illegal immigration. Indeed, in just the last few months, Americans already have seen the Center for Immigration Studies exposing a Biden administration program offering to potential migrants an app that they can use to get air travel tickets that will bring them virtually anywhere in the U.S., allowing them to land and avoid federal border checks altogether. Americans already have seen Capitol Hill arguments and accusations about Biden's Border Patrol withholding data related to the numbers of migrant encounters relative to the number of U.S. government returns of the migrants. And even this past week, we saw Senator Joni Ernst, a Republican of Iowa, remind Americans that Massachusetts Democrat Governor Maura Healey's verbiage about a migrant emergency in her state kinda runs counter to her previous statements in favor of virtually unlimited immigration and counter to her continued support for more migrants coming to Massachusetts. Senator Ernst told viewers of Fox News not to forget that Healey had used tax money to subsidize the housing of migrants in hotels near the stadium where the big Army-Navy football game took place Saturday, December 9th. Senator Ernst correctly made reference to the fact that Healey's recent rhetoric about an emergency seems offered merely to turn on the 1980s Massachusetts statute that, upon a governor's declaration of an emergency for shelter, the statute mandates that the state give shelter to anyone asking for it, and it facilitates legal and medical welfare for said recipients of the shelter. It also facilitates Healey calling on, you got it, Homeland Security Czar Alejandro Mayorkas to send her more nationally collected tax cash, regardless of there being nothing in the U.S. Constitution allowing that. Now we get the lovely insult to the supposed rulebook of the United States, the Constitution, and to U.S. taxpayers in this new story. Simonson reports, quote, "What the Department of Homeland Security wants to do is send customs officers to Mexico so we can pre-clear surges of migrants, ostensibly in hopes they stop crossing illegally," the DHS official told the Free Beacon. "They would be doing background vetting so migrants can be waved through." But the plan could put further strain on Border Patrol, which already faces a staffing shortage ahead of an expected winter surge. Staff who spoke with the Free Beacon said miles of the southern border have gone unguarded because agents have been relegated to processing migrants. Well, the standard conservative observation of the Biden narrative has been to question how many of the migrants who cross the border are apprehended and returned. Then, added to that, there's the question of the feds and various state governments, like that of Massachusetts, literally subsidizing people's moves. When was the last time your move to a new locale was subsidized by someone else's sweat and toil and tax money? Adds Simonson, quote, President Joe Biden has overseen the largest immigration crisis in U.S. history, with law enforcement recording more than 5 million illegal crossings on the southern border since he took office. Blue state governors say the record number of migrants coming to their cities is straining their welfare systems. And cities, including New York and Chicago, are considering budget cuts to offset the cost of housing and feeding migrants. The Department of Homeland Security declined to comment. Of course, the DHS didn't respond. In a constitutional America, there would be no DHS to respond to these questions because the DHS is massively, toweringly unconstitutional. In a conservative America, the border would be handled according to the wording of the Constitution, meaning that state governments would handle the matter. Doesn't it strike conservatives as odd that a senator from Iowa should be talking about hotel rooms and political problems in Massachusetts? Or should one recall Einstein's admonition here? Conservatives generally talk the good talk when it comes to opposing central planning and central government. They oft promote the founders' ideal of decentralization and federalism. Yet nowadays, few conservatives acknowledge a key fact about their U.S. Constitution. The words immigration and immigrant do not appear in the U.S. Constitution. The only passage of the Constitution from which one might infer a link to immigration is in Article 1, Section 9. And this provision tells readers that prior to 1808, Congress could not write laws regarding the migration into any of the original 13 states from outside the U.S. or from other states in the Union. The founders understood that immigration was not a federal purview. If a state legislature or governor should call on the federal government to lead the militia from other states to that state in order to protect that state's Republican form of government from violence or insurrection, the feds are constitutionally bound to respond. And ironically, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas has done that. And of course, Joe Biden, well, he hasn't responded in any constitutional fashion. In fact, we now witness the possibility that Biden's border so-called patrol will head to Mexico to make it easier for migrants to come to the states. Perhaps conservatives can see that the problem is not just Biden. The problem is the reliance on central command and control and the discarding of the original Constitution. What else is needed to awaken that spirit of constitutionalism, of the founders, and see conservatives resist the temptation to centralize immigration? What else do we have to see when this issue has been mismanaged for so many years and now we're starting to see this in Mexico as a possibility? Big lessons about history, morality, ethics, and freedom. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe and send these to any of the constitutional scholars, students you might know in your life. Rumble is the place where they don't censor us, so please head over there and make sure you're subscribed and give us the thumbs up and share the videos. Also, you can find us at YouTube where they do censor us, and you can always find the whole team at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org. And of course, we're inside Facebook, we're in Parler, on TikTok, on Instagram, and of course on X. And if you want to find me on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith. And if you want to find me on Twitter/X, it is at Gard Goldsmith. And by the way, when you go to the Media Research Center site, MRCTV.org, head to the MRC Store, and please consider contributing to the Media Research Center. Hope everybody's having a great time as we head up towards Christmas. Thanks for watching. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.